up your YouTube, search for Stukeley Meadows, watch on your big screen. Get yourself comfy, this could take a while, what a happy scene. Something new every day for your long-term memory. This is so exciting, it is nearly time for a Stukeley assembly.
Good morning everyone and welcome to today's values assembly. Just while I get my hands all nice and clean, let's start with our values. So everybody, for each other we, every day we, to improve we, and together we will. And our everyday focuses are, and our Stukeley motto is, and our Stukeley curriculum is, and 4 words that make the magic happen. Excellent. Okay, so this morning we are going to be talking about remembrance. I wonder if there are any particular days that you remember more than others, if there are any special days or dates in your diary that you always remember. Have a quick think about that. Pause the video if you need to, teachers, and have a little bit of a chat as a class. I expect that you came up with birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas, other kind of events that are important for all of us, or maybe just to you as a family. I wonder how many you actually came up with. Perhaps some of you could tell me later if you see me. You might know that the 11th of November is a really important date. Does anybody know why? Here's a clue. And also, this band that I'm wearing on my wrist at the moment. Here is the clue. This is a symbol that we associate with remembrance, and particularly Remembrance Day, which is also sometimes called Armistice Day. I wonder what you all know about that day. Today we're actually going to be finding out a little bit more about why it is special and why it's particularly important for us in the United Kingdom. So what is it we are actually remembering on Remembrance Day? So I'm going to show you a picture. I'm hoping that you remember or where that is. It's actually in Huntingdon, and it's the War Memorial in Huntingdon. Now, a memorial is really a way of remembering. It's like a sculpture or a statue that helps us or reminds us to remember something. But the question is, what is it that we are remembering? Well, I suppose on Remembrance Day, we are remembering wars that have happened in the past, wars that are maybe happening in the present. We're remembering soldiers, people that have fought in wars, maybe those that have lost their lives, and also those that are part of the armed forces even today and are working in that job. It's a way of remembering sacrifices that other people have made in order that we can enjoy the freedoms that we do enjoy in our country. But amongst that, we should also remember that these were real people whose lives were perhaps sadly lost in wars that have happened in the past. My own granddad died as part of the D-Day landings or close to those D-Day landings. So I never knew my granddad, and my mum was a very, very little girl when her dad died. I've got a picture here of a soldier, and this is a soldier, and his name was Charles Canavan, and he was a soldier in World War I. Now, that man is very special in the family of Mrs. Bradbury, and it's very special because that man is the reason why Mrs. Bradbury's family own this, and it's called a dead man's penny. Now, it's a bit big to be a penny. It's actually really heavy as well. But this was given to all the families who lost someone in their family during World War I. So where soldiers died in World War I, their families received one of these. And not only did they receive that, they also got a letter. I'm being really careful with this and made sure my hands were lovely and clean, from the King. And it says, I join with my grateful people in sending you this memorial of a brave life given for others in the Great War, which was how the World War I was known. And you can see the Buckingham Palace sign at the top. So these people who died in wars are not just like nameless people. They were parts of people's family. People actually lost. And that's something that we are remembering and honouring on Remembrance Day. But why the 11th of November? Why particularly that date? Well, the peace agreement that was signed by the countries at the end of World War I back in 1918 was signed at the 11th hour, so 11 o'clock in the morning, on the 11th day, so the 11th, and in the 11th month, which is November. This is why we mark the event of Remembrance Day on the 11th of November, and why the 11th hour, so it's really, really important. There is also, just before that, Remembrance Sunday, which is part of that remembering, or that act of remembrance that we have as a country. Now, World War I was the first ever world war, that as the name suggests, that involved nearly every country across the world. And when it ended, because so many millions and millions of lives had been lost, people vowed there should never ever be another world war. Now, we know sadly that it did happen again, because we know that there was a Second World War, and we know that there have been other conflicts since that day. But the 11th of the 11th is an important day, and the time that we actively set aside to remember, and it's all linked to the ending of the World War. Now, that peace agreement was also known as an armistice. It's another word for a peace agreement, so hence why sometimes Remembrance Day is called Armistice Day. Now, the thing is, what actually happens on Remembrance Day? So what might happen on Remembrance Sunday, or what might happen on Remembrance Day itself? Well, I'm now going to show you a picture of here, and there's the Huntingdon War Memorial, but this is what it might look like on Remembrance Sunday when it's not 2020. So in normal times, when people are allowed out and about, this is what might happen. So on Remembrance Day or on Remembrance Sunday, people will often gather at a local war memorial. They will lay poppy wreaths. Sometimes prayers will be said. A time of silence, a 2-minute silence will be observed. And sometimes there's even a parade. And that's what you can see happening in that one. There are actually members of the people that are currently serving in the armed forces present at that. So it's a time set aside to actively remember those who have sadly died in war, those that have returned from war who are injured either physically and mentally, as well as those soldiers who are fighting wars today or who are working in the armed services to preserve peace in countries across the world. It's a time for us to actively remember, to be grateful for the sacrifices that others have made or are making on our behalf to keep us safe and to protect our freedoms. I'm going to go back here to our poppy. Here it is. Now, you may ask the question, I know lots of you enjoy buying some of the poppy merchandise that's been available. I know lots of you might ask, well, why the poppy? Why is that important? Why do people buy poppies? Why do people lay poppy wreaths? Well, in terms of currently why we might buy poppies and bands like this one is because it helps to raise money. So the money we put in goes to the Royal British Legion, and the Royal British Legion is like a charity that supports veterans, so people that have either been in wars, perhaps those that have been injured. It helps to support families whose lives have been affected by war. So that's why we buy the material. It's a charity and it raises money. But also the poppy is significant in itself. Now, during World War I, when millions of soldiers and thousands of soldiers from the UK went to fight the war, a lot of the battles, or significant battles of the war, were fought in France. And they were fought in northern France. And in an area called Flanders, there were lots of battles fought, and sadly lots of lives were lost on those fields where they were fighting. And as the war kind of ended, in those same fields where dead bodies sadly once lay and where battles had been fought, poppies began to grow. And here's one of those Flanders fields. So those poppies began to grow, and ever since then they have been a symbol of remembrance, a symbol of remembering the fallen, as we call them, the fallen soldiers, those that lost their lives. I'm going to read to you a poem, and it's a poem called In Flanders Fields by a man called John McCrae. So I'm actually going to read that to you today rather than asking you to remember it, but it's all connected to the poppy. In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw, the torch be yours to hold it high, if ye break faith with us who die. We shall not sleep though poppies grow in Flanders fields. That's a really serious poem, and I know perhaps it's not the happiest of poems, but Remembrance Day is about remembering sacrifices that others have made, thinking about sacrifices that we can make for others, not with our lives perhaps, but sometimes we can do things for others that might cost us in other ways. But really important that we remember that we are grateful. So please, if you can, wear your poppy with pride, or wear your poppy merchandise with pride. You're helping to raise money for a really important charity, and we are remembering and being grateful. Okay, everybody, we're not going to be doing our other poem today because I wanted to leave us just thinking about our poppies, about remembering and being thankful. Have a good day, everybody, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Mrs. Stevens, for that Remembrance Assembly. Don't forget, everybody, tomorrow is Remembrance Day, and we will be honouring that silence in school, as well as many other schools, families, people all over the country for that. Shout outs, birthdays first of all. Happy birthday to Emily in year 1. It is your birthday today. You're our only Stukeley birthday. I hope you have had, are having, and will have a wonderful day. Birthdays are great, aren't they? Also, Stukeley shout outs. A couple of quick reading ones before we talk about times, tables, rock stars, and numbots. Zoe in year 1 has got her very first accelerated reader certificate. Great, I think it's a ready reader. Well done, Zoe. Also, Abhishek in year 5, our first year 5 millionaire. He's read 1 million words and done all the quizzes. Great work, Abby, you superstar of a reading nature. Just before we go into TTRS, numbots, little update from Mrs. Page. She hasn't been aggressive, she hasn't been underhand, but she has taken over the Stukeley Instagram. I think she thought I was being a bit tame, a bit low key with it. So Mrs. Page has taken over the Instagram. Lots of your families follow it. It has lots of arty images on it, lots of creative images. She started hashtagging like a person with hashtag problems. So get on the Insta if you're not already. Enjoy all the images that go out there and join in with a lot of creative fun. Now let's do some maths. Big thanks to Mrs. Campbell for getting all the times tables, rock stars and numbots information to me for today. Before I give you results, it is Maths Week England this week. It says here, Rock Out 2020, and look at those details at the bottom. Get on times tables, rock stars this week. Answer as many questions as you can, play any game you like. The winning class will have the highest number of correct answers per pupil. When Mrs. Campbell looked on the leaderboard yesterday, I think Stukeley classes were in about 50th position. We need to get on it as much as we can. We need to try and get up that leaderboard across the country. It's going to be great. Right, Times Tables Rockstars, here we go. Let's see, this is for last week. So the first week back after half term, you should have all been in home learning mode. I am going to come round to classes to talk about individual children. But Pine versus Maple, well, I think we know who's got it. It's always Pine. 21,068 points last week. Maple, 8,443. Top three players, Olivia, Elsie, Leon. They've been there or thereabouts before. Will they ever be beaten? Lots of children haven't been on it. I'll be chasing that up this week because that needs to change. Willow versus Lime, year 3. Again, I think we know who's got it. There's a pattern. Lime, 70,509. Willow, 14,508. It's like that's brutal. Addie, Oscar and Harry were the top 3. I've heard some of those names before. I know what you're thinking. In some classes, some children are on it all the time and they're winning it for their class. What can I say? It's probably true. Year 4, Acacia versus Birch. Bit closer this one. Acacia 13,728. Birch 6,244. These names are familiar. Top 3, Sowler, Allen, Kieran. Will that change in the next few weeks? Beach versus Chestnut, year 5. Oh my goodness me. I've never seen such a close battle. Beach 12,802. Chestnut 12,203. Just missed out. Top 3 players. Number 1, Ava. Number 2, Tashina. Number 3, Jack Patterson. There's a couple of Jack P's in there. Oak versus Sycamore, year 6. Okay. It's usually Oak, isn't it? Sycamore 26,697. Oak 37,121. Top 3, Vishal, Jessica, Benjamin. I tell you what, Mrs. Campbell's not happy though. Because when you look at a brand new chart that I've got, it tells us how many children in each class did not go on Times Tables Rockstars. And in Oak class this week, the most children out of the whole school did not go on TTRS last week. Oak class, you are relying too much on your big hitters. Mrs. Campbell's looking at you right now, and I know it's not a polite look. Numbots, we've only got year 1 on. We're hoping to get foundation on very soon. Year 1, Cherry class, 64,299. Magnolia, 41,101. The gap will get closer, I promise you. Top 3 players in year 1. Number 1, Sarayu. Number 2, Thanishka. Number 3, Elizabeth. Big scores. Sarayu's massive score. Her brother top scorer in year 6. So there's something about that family. This other chart that I've got from Mrs. Campbell. Where's it gone? Oh, it's down there. Tells me the percentage of people that didn't take part. Oh, it's just here, look. Tells me all the class names and the number of children that didn't go on. I'll be coming around classes to talk about that. Just before I go, still on maths, we have loads of TTRS certificates to give out. They are some incredible achievements here. I can't go through all of them. What I can say is that Vishal, year 6, Oscar, year 3, Damien, year 6, Josh D, year 5, they have all got their rock hero, because when they answer questions, they are less than a second to get the answer every time. That is unbelievably fast. So well done to those guys. You're only a rock hero if you're less than a second per answer. I've also got loads of rock stars and rock legends, and that's all dependent on how quickly you answer the questions. I will bring them round today when I come and talk to you about TTRS. It's going to be fantastic. Let's finish with this.
The most important 60 seconds are coming up now. The most important 60 seconds are coming up now.
Hey, I spoke about this yesterday. The secret shop has been part of Stukeley for years in the festive fair. This year it's happening in school. If you eat in the dinner hall, you'll see it starting to grow in the hall this week. If any of you children want to buy Christmas presents for your family without them knowing what it is, you need to have put money in the envelope that we sent home yesterday. With this letter, send the envelope in. We are then going to work out the money that you've brought in and who you want to buy presents for. You'll all get to visit the shop and take the presents home. Children, it doesn't have to be your money. I'm sure your family will give you money to do this. We'd like everybody to take part who celebrates Christmas and wants to be a part of it. So we'll be keeping an eye on any envelopes that haven't come in to see if we can help out. At the moment, this is a really important thing. This is the most important thing because it's a much loved part of the school and we want to make it magical this year.